Hello folks and welcome. Solus Budgie desktop. Large mouse pointers. Well, maybe even small mouse pointers or cursors. Today I'm going to show you a really simple method of how to install these things. I'll even show you a particular nonprofit website where you can get over 700 of these kind of mouse pointers or cursors. I'm going to walk you through the whole process and try to make this fairly simple for all. And I'll say welcome. I'm going to first start with system information and also point out the fact that all of my videos are over 2 minutes on my new YouTube channel, but they have chapters on them and timelines. If you don't want to subscribe, you can always bookmark if you want to watch this in multiple sessions, for instance. So let me first open up Terminal, and I'm just going to give you system information, and then we're going to continue. So just don't focus in too much about my hardware. I do other stuff with these machines. So I'm just going to focus in on the top line. This is a Budgie desktop, and this is Solus 4.3 Fortitude. And you folks can see the kernel information for those that are interested. All right, so right-clicking on the desktop, Budgie desktop settings. Your mouse cursors are normally found here. This is a system mouse pointer. Okay, it's in this one here and this one here is currently what you have. And they're installed in a different location that I'm about to show you. But I'm going to point to where they're stored a little bit later when I get onto a nonprofit website that has over 700 of these things, and it has a good explanation of the path of where these are stored. All right, so I'm going to leave this one. Now, whatever you choose, whether you choose to install mouse pointers or not, all the procedure in here is the same pretty much. So if you're wanting to make these larger, you right click and you go to your system settings and you find that accessibility area and cursor size. You have 5 choices, large or small, and in between. Okay, I'll pick the middle one, or roughly the middle one. Okay, so that would be the Budgie Control Center under accessibility, cursor size of the pointer. So what I'm going to do here first is I'm going to open up my file manager and point a couple of things out to you. And you can always resize the icons to whatever size you want. You can do that manually, or you can do it my way, which is holding down the control key with one hand. While still depressing the control key, you can just use your mouse scroll wheel to scroll up and down to resize. Probably freaking you out, but anyways, do that. I wanted to point out show hidden files to you. That's one. Control H is the keyboard equivalent because you have hidden files in here. And these mouse pointers that I just showed earlier are located right there. Okay. So what I'm going to do is switch to that yellow one that I started or didn't start this video with. And we're going to open up the file manager again. And I'm going to toggle that show hidden to standard folders. The other thing I'm going to bring to your attention is I changed the preferences on action to open from single to double click. All that means is normally I don't like single click, and it's just my preference. I like to double click on things. Items would be files and folders. Okay, with that said, I'm going to hit Control H to show hidden files and folders. This one is very special. It contains this mouse pointer right here. So before I delete that, I'm probably just going to switch over to the standard mouse pointer and give you the example, which is that first one. Now I'm going to leave that highlighted and hit the delete key. Well, first I'm going to click it and hit the delete key, and now it's in my trash. Now I'm going to close this for a second and right click on my screen. And I want you to see they're all gone except for these two. So this is what the system offers you when you first install Budgie. Those are installed in User Share Icons folder. I'll talk about that a little bit later. It's also protected with root permissions. Not that important in here. I'm going to show you how to do all of this stuff without having to deal with root permissions at all about installing mouse pointers for your local, regular, logged in user. So let's start this ball of wax from scratch. I'm going to leave that in the trash can. I'm going to toggle that, Control H, just to let you see it. So I'm going to manually create a folder. Right click, create folder. You need to start with a dot or a period. dot icons. It's got to be spelled the same way. Dot icons or period icons. If you can figure this one out, you're halfway done. So there's currently nothing in there. Now we're going to close this down, and I'm going to talk about where do you get some of these mouse pointers. Whether you want to go through my YouTube site or whether you want to do this on your own, that is all up to you. So I'm going to turn on my bookmarks and go to my own YouTube site. Okay, and if you don't know anything about me, I would suggest reading the About section. More importantly, I have a link right here if you're using a standard web browser that looks like a foot. And that goes to a non-profit website, which is also found in the About section, called Gnome-Look.org. Again, you can just hand type this down if you like. All my videos have timelines on them, or chapters. We're talking cursors today. There are 795 of these things to download. There used to be about 1,200 2 years ago. I've been using this website for many years. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to search for that one that's called radioactive. And you saw that when I started the video. R-A-D-I-O. That's all I need. It's this one right here. It has a wonderful explanation about what I'm about to show you. Scrolling down here, you'll see this. If none of you folks are familiar with compressing and uncompressing, just forget about this part. Let's just deal with this right here. This is your home folder, that $sign, whatever your username is. And then dot icons, the same folder I created manually over here. That's what this is referring to. Home folder dot icons. That's all that means. This mouse pointer here that I'm currently using is installed here. Let me try this one more time. This is not a C drive, by the way. This is a /. Everything in Linux starts from root. But this is user share icon is where this one is stored. And that folder is protected by root permissions. So I'm really not going to deal with that today. But more importantly, that's where this is installed. I'm going to talk about this one here, which you don't need root permissions and anyone can use this. All right. What about the files? Well, it gives you an example of the light and dark theme for this particular theme. And then I'm going to talk about the sizes of pointers here as we go. The size of the mouse pointer. So this particular one has 3 files. I don't use these at all. This is the one I'm going to download. If I click on this one and download it, it just will show me the different sizes in PNG format. And then the project is on GitHub is a link right here. So I want that file. First thing I'm going to do though, I'm going to make sure my download folder only has a subfolder, and it does. I have some extra mouse pointer themes that I downloaded from the same website that I'll show to you in a minute. So I'm going to download this first one. I'm just going to click on it. And as you can see, it's under 1 megabyte. Download. And wait for the system to respond, and it's finished. And then I'm going to look for another one. I've shown this one I don't know how many times over the years. This one is a variable, and these are fixed. The 32 is the size of the pointer, and the 48 is a little bit larger than a 32. These are fixed size pointers. If you want the variable, you would want that one. And I'm going to download that one. It's only one file. And it's that one. And download. And then I'm going to pick a random one. So let me go up to the main menu here under cursors. Why don't we do this by rating and go pick one. So a lot of times when you're looking through these, you want to take a, if it offers you information like that, that means that the mouse pointer theme can vary from 24 to a 64. To give you a perspective, 48 and 64 are good like in 4K sizes. Your 24s and 32s are like for the lower resolution monitors, for instance. Okay, let's download that one. And let's see what kind of choices we have. Looks like we have a dark and light version. I'll just use the dark. And that's a very small download. It's less than a megabyte, so it should be fast. And it's finished. So now I'm going to close this. Again, take a good look at that if you don't want to go through my YouTube site, or if you don't want to subscribe or a bookmark or whatever, you can do this on your own. It's gnome-look.org. All right, let's move on. So those files are now currently sitting in my download folder, and they're in compressed format. There are many ways to do this. You can work from a single window, doing uncompressing and copying and pasting. But what I'm going to do, because I'm going to show this in front of you, is I'm going to make two windows. You don't have to. I'm just showing you that that's the way I'm presenting it today. So I'm going to create a new window, Control N, and resize this box. And leave this, well, do I want to use this folder or this folder? It doesn't matter which window I use. So let me click this one here for my .icons folder on this screen over here, and then leave the download folder over here. So that's my path, my home folder, .icons. That's the folder I created that's currently empty. So I'm going to put these compressed formats in here. It's very important when you uncompress these, they uncompress properly. There's a lot of Linux distributions that try to uncompress this one specifically that have errors. But if you use my method of using your file manager, you normally don't have an issue with this at all, period. So right click, extract, and go take a look at the folder. That's normal. Okay, it's got an index and cursor theme. It doesn't have a subfolder, in other words. So I'm going to use that one, and as soon as I drag one file in here, one folder with a theme in it, it's available for me to pick. Let me point that out to you. See, now I have not only these two, but this one here. So that's this one. Okay, remember the cursor sizes is in a different location, which I'll point to, because some of these will resize and some of them will not when I open some more of these in here. All right, the next one, I'm going to perform the same thing, extract. And that one didn't look like it extracted properly because it has a weird number in the front, the same as the compressed file. So I'm going to open this, and yes, it has a subfolder in it. All right, so I'm going to back this up, and we're going to open this again, but I'm going to use the subfolder only. What would happen if I tried to drag this over? Let me show you something. Let me show you what an error looks like. So right now you can see the three, right? The two from my system and the one I added in here. I'm going to drag this box completely as it is. And then I'm going to right click again and let you see that I still don't see it in the menu. A lot of people make this mistake of not paying attention to some of the stuff I've said over the years. But more importantly, I am going to get rid of this again on purpose. I'm going to extract this the same method, open this, and then take the subfolder out of here. Okay, and then I'll back this back out. Now I'm going to right click and let you see that I'm able to pick it. It's this one right here. That's this one right here. And I'll switch this back to my yellow one. Okay, so because it had another subfolder inside of this. Okay, does that make sense so far? Hopefully. Okay, I'm going to actually, sorry, not that. I'm just going to right click on it and move it to the trash can. Now, I'm going to, the last one is this one right here. Same deal, extract. Let's take a look at that one. And that one also has a subfolder, so I'm going to grab the subfolder instead of the other one. So if I drag this over, it'll fail, but more importantly, when I open it, it has a subfolder. And this is another important thing. Some of your themes that you download will have multiple folders for different colors, for mouse pointers, for instance, or cursors. It's important to drag the folders independently if you have one of those multi-theme ones. Hopefully that made sense to you. If you're not too sure, drag the box over and give it a try. Right click, System Settings. Now I have the System one, the Azenis, this one, the Breeze cursors, which is part of the system, the Radioactive, which is that one, and Volantes, this one here. Okay, let's do a couple more. I'll switch this back to the yellow Radioactive. Go back up here, and again, I don't really care about this thing, and I'm going to open up this subfolder. So I downloaded all of these themes from the same website I showed you earlier. So here's one that says Pokemon. I'm going to extract that one. Take a look at it. Yeah, that looks normal. Drag it over. Try to drag it over. All right. Too many drag overs because that got everything with it. Drag it back. I don't want the rest of these compressed ones. Okay, I just made a mistake by having too many highlighted ones. Anyways, we have Pokemon here, and what's some other ones? How about this Pulse Glass theme? Right click, extract, open up that. That has a subfolder. That means I need this and not the other folder. So I'll drag that over, and that is now 5 themes. That's probably sufficient. I can continue doing this, but I'm just going to stop for a second. So right click, Budgie, and I have starting at the top, Azenis for this folder. I have the Breeze, which again is the system. Here's the Pokemon one. That's where is it at? This one. The Pulse Glass. It's kind of a tiny one with a glow around it. It's black. I don't know if you can see that. Radioactive you've already seen, and then this Volantes one here. So there's one more. Actually, I'm going to do one more. I apologize, because I wanted to pick one that I know for a fact is not resizable. So I'm going to do another window, and I'm going to go find that one in my downloads folder. I think it was this one right here. So I'm going to extract that one. Let's take a look at the extraction. That looks normal. Drag that over. Now I'm going to close that. Right click. So the last one I just installed is this one. And then toward the end of this video, I'm going to show you how easy it is to get rid of these things. Whether you do the whole folder or individuals, doesn't matter. All right, so let's go take a look at the size of the pointers in reference to whatever you downloaded. So we need to go into the settings, system settings area to resize pointer sizes. Under accessibility, cursor size. Let me actually move this box over so we can refer back to some of this. So this one is this one right here, this Night Diamond Red. I think it comes in a blue too, if I recall. It also does tricks. You may see it glowing once in a while. It pulsates, but it doesn't change in size. I just went from the small to the large. Unlike this one here, speaking of radioactive glows, this goes from the small to the large, for instance. So some of these don't resize. I think Pokemon does. Let's try Pokemon. Pokemon. Okay, so that's the largest, and this is the smallest. You know, a lot of folks spend a lot of time creating these, the developers is who I'm speaking of, the developers who develop these mouse themes. They spend a lot of time on these things, and they should always be given credit for creating these things. But more importantly, you know, it may not work for you. That doesn't take away from their mouse theme. You know, a lot of these sizes may work great in lower screen resolutions. Just wanted to point that out. However, it may not work for you. And if that's the case, then maybe you want to get rid of some of these, right? All right, let me show you how to do maintenance on this stuff. Now, before I do that, I'm going to pick the standard one, because I can show you how you can get rid of this stuff in 2 seconds. All right, first of all, we are going to go to the home folder for a second and the trash and make sure that it's empty, because I'm going to restore that folder also. All right, do we want to resize these? Why not? Hopefully you can see that. So I'm going to single click, and then I'm going to hit the delete key because I'm using the behavior of double click. So it ends up in my trash can. All right, we're good to go. Right click on the screen. All my mouse pointers are now in the trash. You're back to default. These are stored here. They're stored in user share icons. Okay, that's this one. And Breeze cursors is that one. Okay, these are protected by root permissions. Root permissions. That's why I did not advocate installing those there. Okay, now I'm going to do this here and right click and hit restore from trash. Close the screen and reopen it. And all of your cursors are back online. Okay. Now I'm going to leave the radioactive and let's go back to that folder, the .icons folder, this one. Let's say you don't want some of these. Let me resize the icons. Let's say you don't want the pulse glass, the Voltanez, and the night diamond red. It just doesn't work for your theme. It doesn't work for you personally. Not taking away, again, anything from these folks that created these. So I'm going to click this once, hold down my control key, and I'll pick that one, and then hit delete to get them in the trash. Now I have 3 themes removed. Okay, right click, Budgie. Now you're back to, that one is from the system, the Azenis, again is that one. Breeze cursors, again system. It's installed in that user share icons folder. Pokemon is sitting here, and the radioactive. So I got 3 plus 2. Okay, that's how easy it is. Now, you changed your mind. This is how cool working with your file manager. I changed my mind on these. I want them back. Fine. You've got a couple of different ways. You can use Control A to select all of them. You can also drag a box around these things, or you can click and hold your control key and select them this way. I'm just going to use the box method, and then I'm going to return all of them, restore. So now they're all back online, and more importantly, they're all here. Go back to my folder, my .icons folder, and all my mouse themes. All, what is that, 6 of them are back. So again, you went around and you tested a whole bunch of these. You got 16 of them, and you got a big old drop down here, and you're going, I'm going to limit myself. Well, start deleting these. Leave them in your trash if you, or more importantly, you can delete them and put them in a different folder if you like. That's another thing. Now, let's say I don't want to get rid of these things. So I'm going to do Control, hold on to Control key, and I want these 3 for some reason. And right click, hit copy. Home folder, or any folder. I'll just create one out of documents. Mouse stuff. And then I am going to paste them in there. Okay. Let's go back to the themes. And now you can see that my radioactive I'm going to be using. And go back to my folder, .icons. And now that I have a copy of these things, you're absolutely sure you don't need them. Again, these are Night Diamond Red, Pokemon, and Voltanez. So let's go back and find that folder. Night Diamond Red, delete, Pokemon, delete, Voltanez, delete, refresh the screen, and they're here. Again, Azenis is that one, Pulse Glass is that one, and Radioactive is that one. I still have these back in here, so I could technically return them. So let's say I changed my mind on the Pokemon, right click, copy, or cut, whichever you prefer. I'm just going to copy it back to the home folder and paste. Now I should have Pokemon back online. Close and reopen, and there's Pokemon back online. Anyways, folks, you can see that you can use your file manager for just about all this kind of work. And don't forget the link. And again, you have a lot of choices. Thank you so much for watching, and you folks have a wonderful day.